poker's legendary champions, next generation stars, and tireless ambassadors of the game, sharing their wisdom and guiding your journey to high achievement on the green felt. This is Chasing Poker Greatness with your host, Brad Wilson.
What is happening, my friend? Welcome to the Chasing Poker Greatness podcast. Before we jump into the show, I'd like to take a second to let you know that if you would like to support Chasing Poker Greatness, you can head to enhanceyouredge.com/resources. There will be a link in the show description. And if you sign up for any of the trusted services I've linked to, I'll get a small commission. You'll improve at poker. It's a win-win. You can also visit enhanceyouredge.com/resources. The next time you're ready to do some online shopping at Amazon, just click through my Amazon banner and bingo, bango, bongo. I make a tiny commission and it doesn't cost you a penny. With that out of the way, today's episode features the round 2 of DGAF, the highly requested round 2, I might add. DGAF is a good friend of mine who I have battled with many times on the felt, one of the very few people that I consider one of the good guys in the live poker realm that just genuinely wants to do the right thing on a regular basis. We're going to jump into the Jungleman saga, why neither one of us really care about the Jungleman saga. We're going to jump into the pitfalls of online poker and why I have come to hate all of the online operators that are US facing, and much, much more. So without any further ado, I bring to you my conversation with the man, the myth, the legend, DGAF. DGAF, how are we doing, sir?
Doing okay. Brad, how are you?
I'm simmering and doing okay. It's very bored in quarantine and, you know.
Yeah, that was, I saw that on Twitter that you were simmering. And as I mentioned to you just a minute ago when we linked up here on Zoom, I've never seen you simmer before. I found it interesting. I found it a little comforting in a weird way.
Really comforting.
Just like, you're just not 100% nice and at peace with the world 100% of the time.
Yeah, I think just seeing what online poker's turned into, that yesterday the poker community is cheering because an online poker site actually paid a bad beat jackpot. I mean, this is how far our standards have come.
Yeah, so I'm not super familiar with what happened. First of all, what site was it? Let's just get it out there.
It was Bet Online. First of all, fuck them.
But Bet Online, is that a big site? I don't know much about online.
They're like a sports book. I don't even know exactly what they are. I know that the bad beat jackpot was $400K. Dude's playing. He hits the bad beat jackpot. The software crashes on him on the river. He's never had one problem with the software ever before. It crashes. They're not going to honor the bad beat jackpot. He collects all the information, takes it to Joey. I was retweeting it too, but I think Joey's the one that had some juice, and they ended up honoring the bad beat jackpot after pressure was put on them socially. But if left to their own devices, they were definitely not going to honor the bad beat jackpot. And everybody's just like, poker community is erupting in cheers because a site did what it's supposed to do. And that to me is like indicative of just how fucked up the online landscape is.
Yeah, were they cheering Bet Online or were they cheering Joey for stepping up?
Some people were cheering Bet Online. A lot of people were cheering Joey. I saw a lot of comments like, hey, man, you got to give Joey a piece of that for getting it done for you, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, dude, why it's just fucking insane to me that this is what it's come to. But I guess it is what it is.
Yeah, I think so I don't know much about that. Are there any good places to play online? WSOP seems okay.
Well, I don't have access to any legal place in Atlanta, so I can't play on WSOP. All I can say is today I was setting up a resources link at enhanceyouredge.com for people to click through and support the show. And when it comes to affiliate marketing, in this space, the most profitable affiliate marketing is marketing a platform. And I got to the little slot where it was like said platform. And basically the gist of what I said was fuck them all. Don't trust anybody. I can't in good conscience recommend any single US facing platform because none of them have the player's best interest in mind. None of them are doing the right things. And it's just bullshit, man.
Yeah, it's and I think that's true for the live world as well. And people have always told me, just to kind of piggyback on that a little bit, that I should run home games. And the reason I've always thought that if I wanted to, I could, is because there's plenty of money to make while making it good for the players as well. But not one, I can't think of one instance, one home game operator, one online operator who didn't get greedy. You have to just have that ability to not get greedy, even though you see opportunity, like freezing some kid out on his fucking bad beat jackpot share. That's just like the fucking corporate world, it seems like.
It's what's worse than that, right? Like it just drives me insane. And you're right about the home games. Most people get greedy. Everybody has this mentality of I'm going to take as much as I possibly can from the poker community as quickly as I possibly can. And then I'm going to disappear into the night. Like nobody's thinking long-term. Nobody's an advocate for the players. The players can't even get their shit together and force change in a lot of these situations. I mean, think about the Venetian last year had I can't remember what the guarantee was, but 300K period. If it goes over, then they still distribute 300K in the prize pool, no matter what. And they made it, right? The players didn't fucking band together and boycott that tournament. They made the guarantee. And that to me is like a social experiment saying, how much can we fuck the players? And they just don't even care. They're still going to show up if they feel like they can get some value. So like the poker community needs to start bypassing some of these spots where they think they can get value in favor of making things better down the line. Yeah,
there's a fundamental issue in that poker is a very individual game, right? So it's rare to find solidarity, people banding together to say fuck you to the Venetian, because someone's going to say, well, everyone's saying that, so the tournament's going to be sick. It's going to be a bunch of people who don't understand, and then I'm going to go play. And that's you can see the merit in that. But yeah, there's a huge market, in my opinion, for people to run games online or live and just not be assholes.
Good luck. Most people are assholes. And like that's just the fact of it, right? Like poker players, we're conditioned to battle each other and take each other's money anyway. So having us band together is a little bit counter to our nature, just as poker players. But even looking at the apps right now, Poker Bros is going bananas. One of my followers in Discord sent me a message and told me, hey, Brad, like you've got a way bigger following than me. I've been an agent on Poker Bros. I brought in 30K last month just as an affiliate, bringing people onto Poker Bros. You should do it. You should promote it. You should get some people on there. But Poker Bros is a scam. It is just a straight up scam. Like if you play bigger than 1-2, right? Yeah. The rake is about 5 times bigger than Ignition. This is first of all at 5-10 no limit. They take 3 big blinds maximum per hand up to 5%. So $30 rake every hand. Second of all, the money's not secure. You're sending it to some random dude hoping that he sits on it. And then when you win, that he sends you money back, right? What happens when that dude makes a bad investment or his real estate properties crash and he can't meet the mortgages and he's sitting on a pool of $100K. You think you're going to get paid? Dude's going to take that $100K out, disappear forever, and scam everybody. It's a nightmare that is going to come to fruition in some cases.
I think it already has. Another thing we've been in this quarantine for 2 months, a little over 2 months. So I would call that like kind of a gold rush for online poker again. A boom for online poker again. A bunch of bad players playing, and bad players, I'm saying live players, which live players aren't bad at live poker, but they're bad at online poker. They are. I would get destroyed by a good online player.
Have you been playing in the games?
No, I've been busy enough. Well, here's what I was going to say. I've been busy enough taking this time to like get a break from poker, and I've been busy enough building a community, which has been really amazing and time-consuming and interesting. And a cool thing is, one thing I do is offer online home games, but just I don't ever want anyone getting hurt. So the biggest buy-in is $20. Or it's just like if you go to your neighbor's house, and you can win or lose. But here's what I know about those games. You, as the operator, you have to set it to some amount of rake, but you don't need to set it to 3 big blinds, right? So the lowest is 1 big blind, or you can cap it at 1 big blind. You can do, I think, 1% capped at 1 big blind, which seems really small, right? Well, I have these games that are 5, 10, 5 cent, 10 cent, 20 cent. And over the course of a month, we'll generate 2,000 or 3,000 in rake, playing tiny with the lowest setting possible. Right. And then we give it back. I'm not into the rake game. So we give it back in a tournament. I mean, there are expenses with Poker Bros. They charge you for buying chips, adding players. It's a good business model by them. So, but even after the expenses, there's probably, $2K a month of just rake. And I'm not trying to take it. So we give it back to the players in like a lottery type thing. But it just goes to show that's the lowest possible setting. And you can actually set tournaments up for 0 rake. But for the cash games, you must have – it won't allow you to run a game without, I believe, 1% capped at 1 big blind. And if these big unions did that, they would make plenty and the players would have a chance to win. But they're just not going to do it.
Yeah, they're because why do they have to? There's no competition. They don't have to. They get the players no matter what.
If it was legal to take rake, I would do it. I would just offer whatever games people want at the lowest possible rake, and use my reputation and whatever, and do it. But it's illegal to take rake. So yeah. All these guys are risking. When this slows down, someone might be knocking on their door someday.
Oh, for sure. And they're very public about it too. They give out their real name and they're processing all the money, which is exactly what is illegal with the online poker deal. Like, nobody's ever been arrested for playing online poker. The processing of the money is very, very illegal. And these guys are just doing it, leaving breadcrumbs as far as, who they are. And it would definitely not shock me when everything slows down if these guys get picked up, because it's just stupid. But what you mentioned is another big part of why I hate how online poker has become. If it was legal for you to do it, you would do it at the lowest rate possible, right? Well, even in Vegas, how much does it cost to get a license to be an online poker operator, right? That's like, number one, it makes it prohibitive for competition and innovation, and for people to get in the space and make sure that it's better for the player, because only a few people can afford to have an online poker site. And it's just all bullshit to me and drives me absolutely crazy.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you should know by now, it's just pretty rigged at the top. It's really hard to come up against the people with all the money, in not just in poker, but in anything. But maybe some of the being stuck inside your place for 2 months is adding to that. one thing unrelated, but I know me and I could easily forget it. And I think it's important. You were talking about marketing, enhance your edge, right?
Yeah.
And yesterday on Twitter, someone said, "What's your podcast name?" I think you have branding confusion. I think everything should just be Chasing Poker Greatness.
Yeah, I have the URL bought, chasingpokergreatness.com. It forwards to enhance your edge. Maybe I should just direct everybody there.
And that's what like your Twitter handle should be, like Chasing Poker Great. Like it's just, I think, I don't know. It's easy when it's, you know, I know because I'm also trying to build brand and all this stuff. It's easy to overlook something pretty glaring. And I think that's it. I think it's a little confusing for people who don't know you. And Chasing Poker Greatness that's a solid tagline, company name, whatever.
Thank you, sir. Enhance Your Edge was super long ago. This is called laziness on my part, but coming soon because DGAF told me to stop being an idiot. I'll change everything to chasingpokergreatness.com.
Yeah, it's you can ask other people, but I think it's just a no-brainer.
Let me go back to what you said about online poker booming. And this is another thing that in my mind is a misnomer about what's happened during COVID and also kind of bullshit. Cash games are not booming. The 500 no limit, the 500 Zoom on Ignition is as hard as it's ever been, maybe even harder. And tournaments, maybe there's a bunch more weak spots in the tournament world, but the cash game, it's not super soft. Hasn't gotten better since COVID. And pretty much at every turn with every operator, they really just don't give a shit about the cash game guys.
Yeah, that might be specific to Ignition. I know guys in other countries literally can't come up for air because the games are so good. And these are higher stakes players. So, yeah, I know someone in England and someone in the Netherlands, and they're just – and even on wsop.com, someone in New Jersey that's like, no, this is the Corona boom. They didn't call it that, but that's what it is. It's possible that Ignition hasn't drawn the people that used to go to the casino and play whatever 5-10 or 2-5. I don't know, but the smaller stakes, it probably has gotten softer.
Poker, when a recreational player can take $2,000 that's in their bank account, deposit it to a poker site, and play, online poker will boom. That's where these guys from Poker Bros are coming from. They find an intermediary, they give them money, they get money on their account. There's no Bitcoin, there's no hassle, there's no bullshit that they have to go through to be able to get into the games. And right now, there's too many hoops for people to go through. And somebody that's not winning at poker is not going to jump through hoops to get money onto a website. They can lose their money in many, many different ways. They're not going to go through any trouble to do it.
Yeah, I mean, there are – I know you're a big fan of online poker, but there are a lot of issues with it. There's always been a lot of cheating issues and ghosting. And, I mean, I know there's the GPS, like it prevents you from playing from the same house as someone, right, or the IP address or whatever. But, like, why can't two people at the same table be on the phone also? How does that work?
No, they can. Of course they can.
So it's just there are problems with it forever.
There are problems with it forever. Like there are some security measures that I think could be implemented that would cut down on a lot of the BS, but there's no incentive for a poker operator to invest a lot of money into security and making sure that everybody's having a fair experience because there's no regulation, there's no legalization, there's no pressure. They don't have to, right? The only reason why BetOnline paid that bad beat jackpot was because they had social pressure. It wasn't government or federal or the gaming commission that made them do it. It was because their reputation was getting dragged through the mud. So most good players though, like most winning good players, it's probably not even worth the effort to collude while you're mass multi-tabling because it doesn't do very much, right? Like I can't think of playing 6 tables, having somebody on a call with me who's like at those same 6 tables and giving me information that I'm able to use that's going to be beneficial to me. Like I don't see that. I've never tried it, so I don't know how beneficial it would be.
If you played with a buddy on the same table, and even if you didn't have that communication, but if you guys were sharing action, the people, other players are getting taken advantage of, and that's just another way. I guess. Do they still have those games where you play one hand and then everyone gets shuffled to a new table? What's that called?
That's called Zoom or Zone or Rush or whatever. There's a bunch of different names that they call it nowadays. The biggest problem for me, 2 bigger problems than human beings cheating, because quite frankly, I'm not afraid of 2 dummies cheating and playing against me. I still am. Maybe it's delusional self-confidence in myself, but I think that if 2 guys are going to do that I probably have an edge on them just naturally. But
well, you did before they started cheating, but
well,
they've got the edge now, man. I
don't know. I mean, it depends on how mediocre they are. Like most of the people that want to cheat are typically not very good at poker. That's just how it works.
Well, there's some data that suggests that's not entirely true. Some really good players have been caught cheating.
But it depends on what your definition of cheating is, right? So, like, we'll get into the Jungleman thing in a minute. But the 2 biggest problems to me are real-time assistance, and this is people who are running solves or whatever it is while they're in a hand, getting some sort of feedback in spots they're unfamiliar with that allows them to navigate treacherous waters easier. Mm-hmm. And number 2 are the bots, and bots are getting better. The great thing about just deploying a bot and letting it run all day, they're not emotional. They're not going to change their play style. And for the most part, they're going to crush human beings. So like getting rid of bots and getting rid of real-time assistance, those are priorities number 1 and number 2 for every single poker operator that exists.
Yeah. Another thing that's happened when I say this online boom is a ton of private clubs. And so the guys that were playing for big money at the casinos, they are playing online. There is a big boom. It's just not in the general population. You don't get to play against them. And what's happening is, whoever was like smooth in those games is organizing it, gouging them with rake, being predatory, letting them go way beyond their, when they're on tilt, give me more. Sure, here you go. And busting them. And it's already, we're 2 months in and it's already, now all these private clubs are coming together with unions and whatnot. It's gross, man. It's fucking gross.
That's how poker is, right? Like that's what it has become in the current landscape. And let's segue into the Jungleman deal, because we're already here.
Sure.
Jungleman, for those of you not familiar, Bill Perkins tweeted off saying that there was some news that made Mike Postle look like a church service. One of Poker Heroes was involved, a big cheating scandal, and it turns out it was some private game with a bunch of ultra wealthy people, and Jungleman was ghosting, which means one of the whales they had brought in to absolutely crush got crushed most likely and sought out a mercenary to battle against the other guys. That's how I view it anyway.
So yeah, there's a lot at work here, because when we were messaging, I said, why do I not care at all about this? Like, I just don't care. And because there's a lot there. So it sounds like there was some predatory behavior getting this guy in, right? Like, let's get him on our online app and let's, empty his pockets, which, poker it's a hustle. It is. It just is. So I'm not judging that even, but then for that guy to outsmart them, it's kind of just like he outplayed them a little bit by having someone actually really good play. And I don't know. It's so gray. I think a lot of people want everything to be black and white. Like, this is cheating. He's horrible. Well, there's a lot at work here. they were trying to take advantage of the one guy, and then he got smart to it, and he kind of owned them like a little bit, right? Or what do you think?
I mean, so I guess I can say that I don't agree with ghosting. Like, I wouldn't do it personally. I don't think.
Right.
But I don't think. I don't know. So this is the situation that I keep coming back on, because like on Twitter, a lot of people are black and white. This is cut and dry cheating. This is cut and dry bad, Jungleman scum, etc. And that's fine. But to me, it's a little bit of virtue signaling. It's a little bit of people saying, you know, this is wrong. I'm better than this. I would never do this. But they're not in the arena of online poker playing high stakes cash games as a pro and getting fucked with every single day by every single entity. And I don't know the full story, but I can say this. I know of a private game where they're playing relatively big stakes. A friend of mine got invited because he's not so great at poker and he has money. He played in it. He gets smashed. The guy who invited him in, he goes to him and he's like, hey, my friend Brad wants to play. He's a pro. Can I get him in? And the guy said, why would we want good players in the game? Like, just straight to his face. Why would we want good players in the game? And obviously, my friend is very successful in life. He realizes, oh, this guy's saying that I'm the fish, that I'm a bad player. So what happens 2 days later? I get a text saying, hey, man, you want to play on my account? We'll split the wins 50-50 across the board. You can smash these guys, right? It's just a logical next progression.
Of course, no one wants to feel like the target.
No, of course not. But guys running games don't give a shit. Like, they don't care about hurting people's feelings. They don't care about anything.
It's not a glamorous world. A lot of people want it to be. It's not. That's why my content, it doesn't appeal to everyone, because it's just, I just don't, I'm not about that glamour of poker shit. It's bullshit. It's a dark, shady, hustler world. A lot of poker heroes have done really shady things. And they can't see, but I put poker heroes in quotation marks. I don't believe poker players are heroes. Like, no, they're just hustlers, which is fine. Like, hustlers have been around forever and they will be around forever. And it's kind of funny and interesting, but heroes, no. Like, no. I don't think so.
It just depends on your definition of a hero, right? Like, I think the legend of Jungleman will just grow from this. Nobody will give a shit in 6 months or a year, or the people that claim to give a shit. And this is the question I want to propose to them that I've thought about a lot myself. Imagine there's a game where ghosting is rampant and there are some whales and they're playing 500, 1,000. So a big private game, somebody approaches you who's worth whatever, 100 or 200 million, and says, hey, I'm going to put you in this game. I'll take 100% of the risk. You play under my account. Are you going to do it? To all the people who are calling Jungle a cheater, are you going to take that offer knowing that if you run well over 5 or 10 sessions, you can win $1 million?
Yeah, I think a lot of people will that are saying they wouldn't. But I know you're not going to like this, but all this leads to the problems with online poker, man. Like, it's just the only place you can get like a pretty fair deal, I think, is in a regulated card room with good floor people watching. And I just, and even those strict rules that are annoying, like keep your phone off the table, that kind of stuff. I just don't see. I know you're a proponent of online poker, so you're not going to like that. But
online poker is convenient, but
sure.
I hate the state that online poker is in. This is why I don't support any of the operators. I hate the state that it's in, and it's because cheating in online poker is incentivized. And I'm going to say that again. Cheating in online poker is incentivized. There is no punishment to cheating in online poker because it's not regulated and it's not legalized. when they took that away from us, they made the Wild West even wilder. And to me, until things get legalized and regulated, like, I'm with you. I'm going to hate the way online poker is. My vision of it would be video chat so that you can see everybody you're playing against to make sure that you're not playing against a bot. Algorithms in place that are determining whether people are playing too perfect. And if they are, their account gets frozen. And then intermittent screenshots of what this dude is doing on his computer that you can look at and say, okay, this guy is playing 4 tables of online poker and he's not chatting with somebody on the side. He doesn't have a real-time solver up. I mean, this to me are all obvious good steps in the right direction, but who's going to pay for the research and development in a space where people are going to play and they're going to take their chances and there's no incentive to spend the money in research and development?
Yeah, so it sounds like you're saying there are ways to make online poker safe for players.
Safer,
but it's just not going to happen most likely. And I don't want to just say it about online games, the private games that, poker is all about like finding a sucker and taking his money. At its core, that's what it is, right? So these private games are the same thing, with these beautiful girls and amazing food and all this stuff. You're not getting a fair deal. You're just not. It might seem like you are, but you're not. And you might not get paid. You might get robbed. The rake is going to sneak up on you when you stop running hot. It's just tough, man. It's just not a black and white thing at all. And I'm not judging any of it, but I also, am not ready to consider anyone a hero in it.
Let me tell you. So Freddie Deeb, I was playing in a home game in Los Angeles, and me and Freddie Deeb were 10K behind. We get the money in. We both have aces, right? Mm-hmm. So we run it out. We decide to run 2 boards or whatever. They run it out. It's like the second hand of the night. We get our money back. I counted. I have $9,200. Freddie has $9,200. They cut $1,600 in a chop pot that was all in pre-flop, and they gave it back to us, but only because we noticed and bitched. Those games clear $20K a night. $20K a night. And it's just, again, human beings are greedy. The people who are running these games are very, very greedy. And this isn't to say that online poker is not beatable. Like, you can still crush online poker. You can crush cash games up to a certain point, but you're going to be living in a world of gray, and you're going to be public enemy number 1 when it comes to the operators, when it comes to, the bots, when it comes to real-time assistance. Like, nothing is there to keep the good players happy. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's interesting. I was talking to a friend the other day, and he was telling me about his home game experience where he was playing at a table, and by the end of the night, there were only 3 people left, and like no one had left a winner, and one guy was stuck like 70, 80K, and he was up 20K, and he was the only one winning. It was just like the most insane thing. Like, they took all the money. Like, but people don't realize it because they go there and they start drinking whatever, and the girls are beyond beautiful, and there's coke and all that stuff, and it's easy to just not really think about, oh, we were all drawing dead.
Like the soft drink coke?
Yeah, of course. Coke
that is a highlight of many high-end home games.
Yeah, they always have a bunch of bottles of coke there for you. So I don't know. I'm of the belief that there are benefits to online poker. It's convenient, but don't think it's something it's not. And even worse, probably the private live games. But yeah, you're just not getting a fair deal unless you're at some card room that really regulates it and watches for stuff and has a bunch of lame rules. It's, and so it's fine, play, but just don't expect things to be everything to be on the up and up.
Yeah, of course, it's going to be a struggle no matter what. Like I said, we live in a world of gray. I got checks from Bovada for 5 years where they were in $3,000 increments, and I had to go to the bank, and they were from Singapore. And when I would deposit them in the bank, they would be like, "What do you do for a living? Why are you getting these checks?" Which is funny because I don't like living in gray. I don't like feeling like I'm a criminal or doing something wrong. Like, I just want to play cards, make money, cash out, or lose money, whatever. But that's the gig, right? That's the online poker gig. And if you're going to immerse yourself in the game, these are the things that you're going to have to deal with over time.
Yeah, with the boom, and even before the boom, online was profitable before moneymaker. But with that, poker as a profession became very viable because the money was there. But it's also not really that viable for all the other reasons. Just like neither of us like all the shadiness, but we've been in it for so long, and it wears on you eventually. Like nothing surprises me. The Jungleman thing didn't surprise me at all.
It's expected.
Yeah. And really the Apostle thing doesn't surprise me. Like it didn't get me going either. Like I've known lots of people who cheated, and I've seen it, I've been there, and like it's just like, to say it's part of the game is kind of a cop-out, but it's part of the game. It just is.
I'm not going to say it's part of the game. Like, I think it's part of humanity and humanity's reaction to the game. Like, I love poker. I think poker is a beautiful game. I love doing things that almost nobody else on the planet can do when it comes down to like making super light call downs, making, triple barrel bluffs, whatever it is that I do that gets me excited. But it's all the human beings around the game that make the game shit. And that's just how I feel about it. Like, players, nobody wants to lose. Nobody's in this gig to lose money. And so when you have an unregulated private game, you bring in a super smart guy that gets crushed. His ego, first of all, is going to come in and be like, I don't like this feeling, right? Like, this is not fun. Yeah. So then they're going to call somebody, and they're going to get a proxy to play in their place. And this is happening all the time.
So one thing I've been ranting about in my podcast for a while now is I think the ideal way to play poker is to play with friends and like have fun, and sure, you can have an edge and all that, but there's just a lot of problems with trying to play a cutthroat style. Just there's just endless problems with.
You mean online or live?
You could do it online. There's if you wanted to play with your friends on Poker Bros, well, suddenly it's fine, right? Like suddenly no one's cheating. You can set the rate to the lowest thing, very reasonable. And then, but when the money gets too big, people are going to get upset. But you keep the money at an amount where people just aren't really getting hurt, and like they can afford it, and they're getting something. When you're playing with friends, you're always getting something, right? So oftentimes the dynamics of a good home game is, well, there is the one donator, right? But he's also the guy that's done the best in life, and he's got the easiest life, and he's getting all this entertainment, and he decides what music plays, and like it's cool, it's fair, right? And the people that aren't doing as well in financially, they're going with the flow, right? But they're also providing jokes and doing flips and doing it. That works as a system. Everyone just trying to get every last edge that doesn't work as a system. It leads to cheating and everything else, and just bad games and people finding different hobbies. People that would be happy to take their disposable income and disperse it amongst people who get it. Well, now they're going to, at a poker table, now they're going to take it to Baccarat or somewhere else.
Right. And that kind of goes, hand in hand with what I said earlier about players don't like to lose, and then why cheaters are typically not at a super high skill level, because there is pride. There is a good feeling you get when you have winning sessions, when you play hands well, when you make a really good read in poker. And some people just don't want to lose every single night. And so the route that they take is to cheat to give them that edge instead. And so I feel like for most people, like me, I can't imagine wanting to cheat. I can't imagine just going out of my way to do that, because I already have this belief in myself that I'm going to beat the games regardless. And I'd rather sleep well at night than feel like I'm stealing money from people. But for people less skilled that are just losing, well, cheating's the easy out, right? It's either cheating or investing a lot of time getting better at this game, and it's much easier to cheat. So why not?
Yeah, when I say, and you said it, short-sighted, I say it a lot, short-sighted. It's people, we usually are referring to people understanding that their behavior, not understanding that their behavior is killing the future of the game. But there's another element to that. If you're going to be shady in how you get your money, so maybe you're cutting off your source of income down the line, that's short-sightedness. But also, you're going to feel like garbage inside. And that's the thing people don't talk about. Like, if you get your money the wrong way, it doesn't matter. It's never going to make you happy. Never. And money's not going to make you happy anyways, but it's not going to even make you secure. It's going to make you feel like shit. And unless you are a sociopath or something.
You just keep moving the goalposts back and back and back, and you keep compromising your ethics and your integrity until it doesn't matter anymore, until you're just in it strictly to fleece as many human beings as you possibly can and just take as much as you possibly can. But that's how a lot of successful people live their life and go through their life. But
that, you say successful, but it's impossible to fade your conscience.
Monetarily successful, and right. Successful in terms of just wealth and power.
Yeah, but that doesn't, it's just like the oldest trick. Like, that doesn't do much for how you're going to feel inside if you did it the wrong way. If you did it the right way and you use that to help people and whatnot, sure. And do
what if that's just a story? What if that's just a story they tell you?
That what?
That you can't live with yourself if you make all the money the wrong way. Just to play devil's advocate. Have you ever made a bunch of money, and did you feel bad about it?
I made a bunch of money the right way.
The wrong way.
You know what? I felt bad about just winning the right way at poker. Like, I lit my money on fire. It just felt so wrong having such an edge. And yeah, part of the Live Pro thing is getting the game juiced up, and it's just what it is, right? So you're using all these soft skills to build this amazing game, and often it works, right? You're just taking from people who have disposable income. You're winning from them. But sometimes you're just crushing some guy who's delusional and thinks he's a pro because he won a tournament, and and it didn't make me feel good. That's what got me into content. I needed something besides winning money out of my career. It made me feel gross. So you
self-sabotaged? You lit your roll on fire because you felt bad?
I've always been very self-destructive, but that was an element to it of, it doesn't feel great, right? And even after you win a bunch from someone and you kind of hustle them in a very legal poker sense way, what
do you mean by hustle?
Well, what do I mean by hustle? Is you're tricking people out of their money.
Oh, give me an example of.
An example is, okay, so I was a professional poker player, not really thinking long term, and I dressed like one, looked like one, all that, and I won all the time, and eventually I didn't get action anymore. I wasn't an asshole. I wasn't smug. I just didn't give anything to the game, right? And they really started resenting me, and basically couldn't play in my hometown anymore. I had to move to Vegas, and I got smart. Well, kind of smart, where I don't want that anymore. So now I dress you see me, if you just meet me, you do not think poker pro, and I have the ability to drink at the table and still play well, and you're getting people to play with you all night long, and they don't realize they're just a really big dog, especially when it gets shorthanded late in the night. And just, winning, it's tricking, but that's what poker is.
I don't know if it's tricking. Like, I guess it just depends on how you look at it. I've never camouflaged the fact that I'm a professional poker player in any game that I've ever played in ever. I assume that people just...
I always will. I think there's just so many problems with who wants to play, like, especially nowadays, people don't want to play with professional poker players. I mean, they want to play with like Phil Ivey or whoever, someone that's famous, but just some guy who's good at poker. It's kind of bad for the game, to be honest, to show up and look and act and talk like a pro.
Yeah, but like you said, you have the game on one side, and then you have this feeling about yourself on the other side. And so for me, in order to just be aligned with what I'm doing and who I am, I just show up. I've never had any problem. Like, nobody's ever even said anything to me about the fact that I just play poker. Like, just by the way I shuffle my chips, by the fact that I'm in commerce 60 hours a week. I mean, it's pretty clear that I'm a professional poker player. I'm not trying to angle anybody or anything like that.
No. Well, yeah, but I look at poker as a soft, like, hustle. It just always has. If you ask the old timers, they would tell you that. It's just the nature of it. It's
a meritocracy, man. It's a meritocracy where the cream eventually rises to the crop, and you could say that, or the cream rises to the top, not the crop. You could say that about any venture, though. In business, businesses are cutthroat. They go after all of their competitors.
I'm not judging it. I'm not judging the game. I'm saying that's I believe in all the stuff that I do. I believe in, it's a game. It's part of, like, it's part of the whole thing. You're trying to get the money at the poker table, right? If people sit down, they're fair game, right? Well, then you have to govern yourself to not take it further, like to be you don't want to be predatory, stuff that, but even just that, the game of poker, it's fine. It's a hustle, but it wasn't fulfilling for me. Winning money for years, I had to start doing other stuff. I had to start doing content. And I did content for a long time, with writing, and now I do podcasting, and I'm trying to get out. I want to be the whale. That's what I want to be. I want to be the guy that comes in and says, I know you have fucking, like, a big pair right now, but I don't care. I'm going to put it all in with 5-6 suited, like, just cause, right? And if you're over there being cool, then it's going to work. I'll do it again, right? I look forward to that. I do not like but I've also played longer than just about anyone.
This seems like an imaginary scenario that will never, ever happen. I can't imagine you just getting your money in bad and being happy about it and being like, oh, well, that dude's cool. I'm just going to give him some money. Like, at the poker table? Are you kidding me?
No, it'll happen. When I am confident that I am going in the right direction financially right now, that I will be flush for a third time in my life. And I'm also confident I've worked through a lot of the stuff that made me so self-destructive. I used to just give people $5K, like, not even just here, have it. Right. Go ahead.
So I'm not saying that you're never going to make it, the money. I'm just saying it feels counter to every poker player's nature to just get money in bad and be happy about it. That just seems like something you will have to force yourself to do, and I don't know if you'll feel good about it or not.
Well, I'm a gambler first. I became a poker player. I mean, I played poker, but I'm a gambler. I like gambling, and the reason I play poker well is because I need money. But if I don't, I won't play. That even in our little home games, I do horrible stuff, and it feels fun. It feels like I'm the rich guy at the table, right? Because we're playing for $5 or whatever. It's just, I don't know. But yeah, of course, in this hypothetical scenario where I have a lot of money and I'm not a poker pro anymore, if I go, I will be happy to take the worst of it. As long as the person is cool. If it's you across from me, I'm happy. But if it's some smug kid, then and I'll be like, well, okay, but now we have to play heads up. Like, I don't care. Like, let's go. Let's really see, right? But anyone that gets it, no, I'm gonna be happy to just punt.
That's fair, man. That's a good thing to aspire to, actually, to be the Max Azria of every poker game that you ever play in.
So yeah, Max is a great example. And what did he own?
BCBG, clothing brand. Yeah.
So we played with him a lot, and I'm gonna ask you a question. Who was winning the most in those games? It would be like me, you, other pros, some commerce regs, him. Who was winning the most?
I have no idea who is winning the most.
He was. So, if you take it out of a money sense.
Oh, so it's a trick question. It's a philosophical question.
Yeah, man. Like, he's sitting there smiling, sipping on a drink, very happy. And the other guy, Mr. Chow from the restaurant. Those two guys they were winning the most. The rest of us sitting there like stressing, like, oh shit, like if I lose this hand right now, this is because we're playing much bigger than we are every other day of the week, and we're like trying to, working so hard to have them like us and all this shit. Like, in a general sense, those two guys are winning, and the rest of us, it's fine. It's just where we were in life, but there's no question in my mind they are the ones fucking winning.
So I'm going to burst this bubble because I have insight into Max, because Max did like me for whatever reason, and me and Max got close. Max did not enjoy losing. He felt bad. He felt like he was stupid because he lost every single day. Now, did he ever try to get better? Absolutely not. And did he always act like he had a good time? He did. But he did not like feeling stupid, and he didn't really like losing at the end of the day.
But that was gradual. At the beginning, and he was surrounded by a bunch of fucking LA nits. So that's easy, right? But I know in games that I played with him, he was very happy with just how ridiculous of a human being I was at that time, and like just how much I was drinking and the dumb shit I was saying. And I know that didn't bother. He probably never was bothered by losing a pot to me, right? But someone over there not saying anything, being very deliberate and just, it's obvious to him that he's a target. Yeah, of course he's not going to like that. But he's also still winning. He's also the one where it doesn't matter what happens today, right?
Max is such an interesting thing, because maybe one of the most interesting tangents of my poker career was becoming friends with Max. We were playing against each other, just whatever. And he invited me on his private jet, which I don't think he had ever invited a poker player from like the Commerce onto his private jet to fly to Vegas with him, just because he liked me. A lot of things stemmed from my relationship with Max, including getting involved in the LA home games and all of that stuff, which was not a great career move. But I actually maybe took it a little too far in getting Max to like me, just through my natural charisma and charm, because at some point Max stopped playing with me in pots. He would want to check down every single hand with me specifically. And that just in and of itself probably cost me $20,000 or $30,000.
Right. But that's the great stuff. Like, on a human level, it's pretty awesome, right? Like, that happens to me a lot, where the whale at the table doesn't want to play against me. And I know it's costing me money, but it's also like, this is kind of the shit in life, right? Like I just we have a connection, and it doesn't matter, and who cares about the money? Like, it's, in the end, it's not really going to matter that much, but it can be problematic.
I always did it with Max because I like Max a lot. And, Max passed away last year. And the one thing that I'll always remember about Max, he's a billionaire, owns this giant global brand. And I flew into LA, took a lift to a game that Max was at, and there was just a room full of people. And you know how Max, everybody gravitated towards him because he's loud, and he's almost 70 years old. He would take his shirt off, and plus he's the big whale at the game that everybody wants to suck up to. Yeah. And I came in, I'd been gone for like a week, And Max stopped everything he was doing, just turned around and was like, my friend, and like ran across the room and like kissed me on the forehead, like basically like I was the only person on the planet, right? And that was pretty cool to me. Like, it was a cool relationship to have, and I'm sad that he's gone. But yeah, I think that's way more valuable than the money.
Right. The 20K you forgot about.
Yeah.
You know, like that you're not going to forget. And that's just like a human thing. It's a connection. And yeah. So even if he was unhappy, and I think he gradually did get, and he had people in his ear too, telling him, stay away from these players and this and that, you know, it happens. You put a wealthy guy in commerce and God, it's going to get ugly. But
look at Obama. Look what happened with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, those guys. So Obama,
for the listener, we're not talking about the former president.
No, not the president.
We're talking about a very action player at Commerce called Obama.
And he's very wealthy. Lots of action, very wealthy. So Commerce regs, the nits, would pay the floormen because Obama would call in every day to put his name on the list. They pay the floormen, give them their phone numbers. When Obama calls in, the floorman would call those 7 players, and then they would show up at the casino and just sit around until Obama got there. They wouldn't even play while they're waiting. They just sit around. Yeah. Obama gets there, they surround him, and then they're in a game with Obama. And like, he's intelligent, right? He's very successful in life. He realized what was happening eventually, that he's playing with the same people all the time. But the nits, man, they don't give a shit. Like, they're just in it to take as much as they possibly can. And yeah, that's one of the things I hate most about poker.
Yeah, it's no place for kids. It's not this glamorous. It's not a professional sport. It's not. It's a game. It's a hustle. It's okay. It's fine. Get in it, but you stay in it too long, it's going to wear on you. And you got to be careful while you're in it. And you also know that there are going to be opportunities to make money by compromising your own ethics or whatever. And if you fade those, you can come out all right. But if you don't, you're going to have to live with that shit forever. And you see that. I don't know.
It's a catch 22, because when you do turn down opportunities because of your ethics, and then you know people who are not turning them down, and they get to be 500K richer because they are willing to step into a situation where they can cheat and make money, and you struggle, right? Because let's face it, when you pass up these opportunities, it means that you're going to struggle in the regular games that you're playing in. You can get a little bitter. You can get frustrated. It's I just am really annoyed with online poker right now. I think this is pretty clear and shining through in this conversation.
Yeah, I've never seen you annoyed before, so it's kind of cool.
I mean, this is what
you've seen me tilt plenty, but I've never seen you tilt once.
I have a question to ask you, by the way. This has been on my mind for a long time, and I can edit this out for you if you want. I remember at Commerce, because my sleep schedule was always super whacked out, flying in from the East Coast. The first day I'd be there, I would wake up at like 4 a.m. And sometimes I would go to the gym. I remember going to the gym at 4 a.m. and this dude that I have played against for a long time now is on the treadmill running at 4 a.m. in the Commerce gym. This guy who is well known for getting drunk, wasted at the table, and getting everybody else drunk is taking care of himself. What I have always wanted to ask you is, when you were getting drunk, did you ever, tip somebody to get water from a server and order drinks for everybody else to get a bigger edge?
Wait, what?
Like, there was a disconnect to me.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Was I ever not drinking as much as it seemed?
Yeah.
No, I was always drinking as much as it seemed and more. In fact, overnight, I would have those little, I would order I would have the porter go over to the store, get giant sugar-free Red Bull and those little coffee cup things and ice, and then I would bring vodka in and mix it. So the exact opposite. I never went that route. No, I drank as much as advertised. There was a period of time where I didn't drink, though. That's what you're remembering. There was so the first time I went bust, I made about $60K in a year. But the way I was living and spending, that busted me. And now I had another kid coming, and so I think it was 2012. I decided to only drink once every 3 months, and I was on the grind hard. And that's when you saw me working out in the little tiny gym at Commerce, and that was, I did well that year, but I also felt so fucking like gross. I don't know. It's just that was my first comeback, and I'm trying to make my second comeback now, but that was my first one where I didn't drink for the whole year, and I ran bad for like the first 2 months, and then after that started running better, and had one big session and then never looked back. And then the next year I started drinking again and playing heads up and destroyed everyone, and then eventually lit that on fire.
Yeah, it sucks, man. It's
I mean, it's fine.
Well, it sucks. It's not good because you're one of the good guys in my mind. You're one of the guys that I root for in poker, that I hope gets all the success, all the gold, all the fame, all the glory, number one podcast, all of these things. I genuinely root for the good guys because, quite frankly, I mean, there's not that many around in this world, so it's fun having one.
I appreciate it. You also are one of the good guys. I also want to say that I kind of feel like unscathed. Like, sure, I've won literally millions, and I haven't lit it all on fire in bad ways. I've lit it all on fire in a lot of good ways, giving my kids a great place to grow up and very comfortable life and comfortable house. And I've helped a lot of people, like family.
How does it feel? How does it feel knowing that you've done all that through poker?
I feel good, man. Like I have stress in my life I'm still trying to make another comeback, and I'm actually getting some momentum currently. So that part is really hard, but like my conscience is good. It's very good. I lived very self-destructive. I had just a very self-destructive pattern my whole life, and I wasn't aware of it during it. How did
you gain awareness?
I hit a rock bottom in 2017, and then it was bizarre. I was taking a lot of Adderall, and I stopped doing that, and I don't know if that led to a bunch of childhood repressed memories started coming up, and I started to learn more about myself and my childhood, and then I started to understand how it shaped me into this person that, well, while I was a giver and like kind of loved everyone for the most part, except for nits, I've always not got along with them. But other than that, I was always like so hard on myself. I would punish myself, and I just kind of learned that. And it's a slow process. We're 3 years later, and I'm still like a D-gen or whatever, but it's a lot different. It's not as deep. It doesn't go as deep as it used to. And so, yeah, it took me hitting rock bottom to even have any clue, any insight into my own cycle and all that shit. But my conscience is fine. Like, I feel good. I feel like I've done a lot of good. And I feel like I'm doing a lot of good now with like the community I'm building. And my podcast does a lot for people. It gives people an escape, a relaxing escape where they can relate. And I don't sell any bullshit like I'm perfect. No, I'm just as flawed as they are, maybe more. Who knows? And I don't know. I feel really good about that. I'm battling. I'm grinding hard in life, but inside, I feel fucking great.
People gravitate towards vulnerability and people who are not full of shit and are willing to say like, yeah, I went through this and it hurt. and I was scared, and I'm learning, and I'm trying to do better. When you say that you hit rock bottom, and did you go to therapy? Was that a part of your process? Was it just all yourself?
I would recommend that for others, but it's just magically someone that I'd played poker with years before, and he always liked my vibe at the table, a psychiatrist. And he offered me a job as an assistant. And then, so I didn't go to therapy, and I actually lived with him when I moved out of my house. I had a long overdue divorce. I should have been divorced years earlier, but I didn't care about myself until I hit that and then I started the process of actually taking action in my life. Well, I lived with a psychiatrist. I worked with him, and I did a podcast with him called Solicit Advice Podcast. So did I go to therapy? No, but yeah, I did. I went to it like all the time. And I learned a lot about breathing, cognitive behavioral therapy. And just, for a while, it really sucked, right? You're just kind of in your own head thinking about this shit all the time. Like, oh my God, this, whatever happened when I was 4 years old was brutal, right? But gradually you stay aware of that, but it weighs on you less. And you just start, I say that I exercise free will now that I didn't used to. And people will debate if that's even real, but either way, I'm acting healthier.
What does free will mean? What does it mean when you say that?
So I've had a lot of, in my community is a very good philosopher who comes on a lot, who believes in free will, and an amazing scientist who comes on a lot and does not, says everything's determinism. So that's an interesting discussion. I haven't signed off on either for my own belief, but I believe there's levels to it. Free will, level 1 is like, I'm going to decide to stop eating like shit. I'm going to get in shape. Like that one year I decided to be healthy, right? That's level 1. But then there's level 2 is when you really get to know yourself, why you've always been the way that you've been. Once you're very aware of that, and in the moment aware of it, you can start to catch yourself doing self-destructive. For me, my thing was self-destructive. I can catch myself, and I can make it's not easy. It feels weird. And you make little choices that you never would have made before. And it's gradual, and it's not easy. But I'm starting to live healthier, and I was doing the opposite for the first 43 years of my life. I was always trying to punish myself. And now I'm trying to do the opposite. I'm trying to come up in a good way.
What's the difference? Do you have like a tangible example of a time you would have done one thing, caught yourself, and did another thing?
I'm trying to think. With eating, with drinking, yeah. Oh, here. So something that has made a lot of people like me, but wasn't healthy for me, is that I would do anything for everyone. Right? I answered every question in my thread on 2+2 for 7 years, right? Even though there were trolls in there and people judging me and all this shit, I just did. And if someone asked me to do any favor that I didn't know, I would. And that's problematic if you just do that for everyone. And I kind of, during this last 3 years, I've learned that I'm always going to be like that, right? I'm just like, if you ask me to do something, I'm going to do it, right? But if someone I don't know asks me to do it, I shouldn't do it, right? I probably shouldn't. And especially if someone that has always gotten something from me and never reciprocated, that's kind of a buzzword that I use a lot. So it's really hard for me. Someone the other day messaged me. I was busy as hell. I've been so busy during this time when a lot of people aren't, and said, hey, your content's always meant a lot to me. I wrote a book. Would you mind reading it and reviewing it? And my inclination, that thing inside is, I was driving to stop and to message back and be like, yes, send me the book. I'll read it. And then I'm like, well, no offense, but you've always enjoyed my content and you've never even done anything. You've never reciprocated in any way. I can't. I'm too busy. Sorry. So that may sound easy, to people. It's not. I literally wanted to like message back. Whatever message popped up while I was driving, I wanted to message back, but I have to like, so, and that only comes with awareness that you are that way. You're trying to please people for fucked up childhood reasons. But yeah.
I'm the same. I have always been a giver in that way, whether it was reciprocated or not. And what's really messed up about being that person is that the takers will find you. It's like they have a radar and will hone in on you and just try to take advantage of you as much as humanly possible. And it's only when you realize what's going on, you have awareness of the situation, can you break that cycle. There's so many friends that I've think back over the years and think, good God almighty, what was I thinking? Why did I spend 4 years with this person that never gave anything back to me ever? And I just didn't know. And it does stem from childhood. It stems from a feeling of codependency. There's a bunch of things that it stems from. And like it's classic self-sabotage, right? Like you don't feel good about the way you're making money. You don't feel worthy. And so what can you do that's in alignment with feeling unworthy subconsciously? Well, you just light it on fire and get yourself to the point to where you actually are how you feel about yourself.
Yeah. It's and so I questioned whether I could change to not be someone to like stop what I'm doing and help someone. And I don't think I can. It just, you have to feel right inside, right? So the change I made is only doing that for the people that would do it for me. And it doesn't have to be the same exact level. And that's what's been amazing about this community I'm building. It's just the way I choose to monetize my content is voluntary pledges, right? So it's just people who believe in the same thing, right? They believe in give and take, reciprocation. And now that's a filter of all the people that I don't judge, but they don't get anything else from me. You know what I mean? Like they just don't. Like you want me to answer a question? Well, like, no, you've always been enjoying I just asked for a simple, like tiny pledge for all this shit that I've done. And it's fine. If you don't like my content, don't. But if you do, if you listen to it every day, also fine, but I'm not doing anything else extra, and it works. And that's why I got this community of people that are like me. And like the biggest issue this morning was 2 fucking guys trying to send each other money, and like they're being stubborn over, no, you take the money, like this, like good problems to have. You know what I mean? Like it's just, so that's, I don't know.
For anybody that finds himself in that cycle of feeling like they're being taken advantage of, there's an easy test. For the people who are constantly reaching out to you, just start asking them for things, not like money, free things that are relatively easy to do. And if they are not willing to reciprocate, stop having contact with them. They're just leeches. They're going to take and take and take, and they're never going to give anything back.
That's cool. I like that test. And it's just, opposites attract. Positively charged things attract negatively charged things, whatever. It's real, right? But and also just something, a side note to that is that we all go through times when we're a little self-absorbed, myself included, where you're not as communal as you normally are, and that happens. Things come up in life, but then if people never come out of that cycle, that's when it's time to pull the plug on them, in my opinion. So let people go into that cycle and either back away or tell them or whatever. But if they never come out, then yeah, you gotta protect yourself.
Yeah, you gotta cut the cord. My downward cycle, like if I'm feeling healthy, if I start trending towards being more depressed or sad, the first thing I do is I cut off contact with everyone. I stop really communicating with the outside world. And, I start thinking about all the suffering in the world. That's what gets me down, is like thinking about all the people being taken advantage of, thinking about how all the stuff in Walmart gets there. Why am I shirt that's made in Bangladesh costs $10 and was made all the way across the world with somebody that's getting paid almost nothing and working, walking 4 miles to work every day. Like just all of the human rights issues on the planet and then the planet too, how we just destroy our planet and whatever, let's take as much as we possibly can and ruin the planet for our future generations. And who really cares? All these things, that's what weighs on me, but they're all unsolvable. And I think that's why they weigh on me so heavily.
Yeah. My advice would be accept it, accept what the world is and do what you can do to control your world, right? Like, well, just do what you can do to feel good inside. And that's kind of what I do. And like my community's not huge. It's 100 people right now. It grows like every day. I have more people supporting me, but like 100 choose to be in the community. But it feels like my whole world, aside from my kids and like, people I spend time with, it feels like my whole world. So I'm kind of like, it works. It gives you that good feeling inside. So you can kind of follow that model if you think it works.
I think for me, what works is just acceptance. I just accept that this is the way things are and go about my life and not get upset about the Jungleman ghosting thing, because that to me is like I said on Twitter, number 1 billion on the things that I worry myself with or think about or am concerned about in the world. So like, it's so insignificant. Well, I just can't find myself caring.
It's a matter of very wealthy people losing some money. Like there's just not a lot of sympathy for the wealthy.
No.
Right. Yeah. It's not, and it doesn't mean it's right or wrong, but the feeling inside is like, I don't know. It's not getting me going at all. Like, it's not surprising, and it's tough when you don't have sympathy for the victims. Like they're wealthy and they probably got their wealth doing similar type things. And,
Dan Bilzerian's dad stole a bunch of money and gave it to him as an inheritance. Like, yeah, I'm going to feel real bad about that dude losing some money. Like you can't find a less sympathetic victim, I think, than Dan Bilzerian.
Yeah. I don't know much about him, but it's also, and Jungleman just comes off kind of like himself. I don't pay much attention to, I don't follow him or anything, but like comes off like himself, like smart kid now going through this like transition of wanting to be with women, all this shit. Like, it's just kind of, I don't know. He doesn't seem, he's hard to root against, you know what I mean? Even though, but that's just the way it is. I don't know.
He is hard to root against. He's sort of like, he's an anti-hero in the poker world. And he's trying to find himself too, right? A lot of people don't think about the fact that, Jungle's 30 years old. Like,
tough age.
He's a kid still, and he's a kid who has grown up in online poker, which, by the way, they don't teach you integrity classes about online poker or principles. Like all of these things we've had to kind of police and learn ourselves as a community. So it's no wonder that Jungle is he's trying to find his own happiness, his own path in the world. So, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and you could think about his screen name and kind of it's kind of interesting to think about his screen name and like just like what we've been talking about. Like this poker world isn't this clean, glamorous thing. It's kind of the fucking jungle. Like it just kind of is, right? And that's just the reality of it.
It's Mad Max to me. Like, I'm not sure if I said that earlier before we started recording, but I'm going to say it again. The landscape of poker looks like Mad Max and Fury Road. Just a wasteland with a bunch of crazy people who are all trying to kill each other and steal each other's resources. Like that's how I view it. In Jungle, he's the hype man, he's the dude with the guitar standing on the vehicle going to war. That's getting everybody hyped up.
Yeah. It just is what it is. It's not, I'm kind of fond of the poker world, but it's not a place I want to be entrenched in, anymore. I have been for too long.
I like the poker world. I like a lot of the people I always have a good time with my guests, and you, the audience, my listeners that are listening right now. I want to do everything in my power to help you, which involves right now just not promoting any platform, because I think it's too risky and they're all bullshit. None of them care about the players. And over time, maybe one will show itself that I can trust and feel like I can support, and then I'll be more than happy. But until that happens, like, my goal, my job is to take care of my listener and pass on the wisdom that I have gained, and also facilitate the wisdom that folks like yourself have gained from this game. And in my mind, you know, you do your guys a lot of service by telling them the truth, because the truth was not a linear process for us to figure out. And it was not a linear path. We had to learn.
It's not popular either. The truth is definitely not popular.
No, we learned through experience. We learned through our own shortcomings, our own just dumpster fire of situations in life.
Yeah, but I mean, like, for the casual player, it's a lot more exciting to believe that it's this great thing of, I'm going to go in there, it's going to be fair, I'm going to run it, I'm going to play better and run it up, and it's not that. It's not that fairy tale, but it is interesting in its own way. It
can be that fairy tale, though. If somebody's talented enough and wants to work hard, they can do it.
And what else?
What else?
They run hot.
I don't think so. I think you give me a tenacious 20-year-old that wants to live, breathe, eat poker, consume all poker strategy, make themselves into a warrior. They can go broke. They'll get a job. They'll make more money, and they'll keep plugging away. And eventually, they'll make money. Like, eventually, they'll have an opportunity.
Okay. But have an opportunity to make money is different than they will just climb to the top of the poker world.
Oh, the top of the poker world, you're not going to go get there overnight. Most people are not going to get there in a year, 2 years.
Well, it's not like boxing or something where if you're the best boxer, you're going to work No, you're going to have to run good. Like, I will happily fade anyone. You could take the best, find me the best 20-year-old poker player in the world, and I will, I won't like doing it, but I'll fade them on a odds level. I will fade them rising to the top.
Well, the problem is not just about ability and talent. We have all of these other things that we've talked about in this episode specifically that you have to navigate successfully. And most people don't have that grit. Most people just want to give up. Grit,
resilience, same thing, I guess. You got to run good, man. You got to run good in those big pots. I interviewed someone from the community, Irie guy, and he took his case 70K to a 10K buy-in, and he was down his first 6 buy-ins, and he had his last 10K out there, and there were 3 hands left of the night. And if he's a big dog to come out of that game with much money, and he's going to be back to playing small. Well, he 8x'd his last 10K on the last hand of the night or whatever with a horrible hand with 4-4 Queen Jack in Omaha High Low, and pair of 4s won, and it's just the most insane story ever. And yes, good player, good soft skills, all that, but you got to bink those turning points, or you can. And if you brick those turning points, if you're the favorite and all that, and you lose, that's hard. But
let's break this down step by step, though. Dude took his 70K, bought in for 10K, and dusted 7 bullets. I mean, he's not rolled for that game, right?
Well, no, but he's a doctor. He doesn't. That's his bankroll, right? It's not his life roll. He has a good job. He's fine. I agree with being super aggressive. That's why I think people should have their own jobs and have their poker money on the side. You can be as aggressive as you want. Chase poker greatness, as someone once said. Go ahead. Yeah, but just sure, being good is really going to help. Being gritty, all those things. You're going to need luck. You just are, but so what? That's part of it. That's what makes it interesting.
In the long term, you will need luck. This dude had 7 buy-ins, so it's a crapshoot as to whether or not he's going to come out ahead. The dude, the 22-year-old stud that's got 70K that's going to play 5-10. That dude ain't.
Where's he going to play 5-10?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
Where are those games?
Vegas, Los Angeles, Florida.
Those games might not even be here next year. It's like it's just getting so much smaller.
Well, I can't predict the future. I can't predict the future.
But eventually that guy's going to have to go upstairs and sit in a game with a couple other good players and one whale, and he's going to have to put a lot of his roll on the line. And he's going to have to run good. If he doesn't run good, he's going to be sent back down. And how many times can he be sent back down? And, yeah, I don't know. But I do like the idea – I like the idea of chasing poker greatness a lot more than I like the idea of enhance your edge, right? Because chase poker greatness, but do it the right way. And sure, the beauty of it is anyone that has any sort of clue could be, find that greatness. They could win the main event next year.
What does poker look like to you? A poker utopia, your own personal utopia. You have a poker room. What does that room look like? How do you make it as fun for the players and as good for the players as you possibly can?
Depends where you are. Like if you're in Vegas,
you get to pick the location, man. This is your playground.
If I had a poker room, I know like this is why I suck at business, but I know like in business you're supposed to maximize profits and whatever, but that just works against poker players. You can make a shitload of money charging a very fair rate, not jacking it up all the time. So I would charge very fair rate. And
you have $1 trillion, so money is no object for you.
Yeah, well then I would. It's not hard. It would be very nice. It would be fun. It would be kind of. Did you ever go to the Hard Rock poker room back in the day?
Which one?
The one in Las Vegas.
I have not played very much poker in Vegas.
It was poker utopia. It was a little bit dark. There was a nice lounge in there. You could still see your cards. The lighting was just like great. It was dark, but you could see the cards. They played music, and people gambled and had fun. And it was impossible to be nitty in there. It was just like too loud, too many straddles, and it was just everyone that was there had fun. It just got mismanaged. But that was it. That's the example.
What happens when you've got, 4 guys that are cool, that are part of your crew, they're in a game, and they're playing against 3 nits who are not giving anything back, they're just purely taking?
Well, so the one thing that strikes a chord with some people is that I always speak out against nits, the people that aren't going to give anything back. And those are the ones that hear my shit and they'll hear this and they'll go in my thread tomorrow and say something like, you're a piece of shit dad. You know what I mean? Like something like that, right? So, but I do believe, and I don't like confrontation more than anyone else. But I do get in lots of confrontations at the poker table and online and whatever. I will, because I believe you have to stand up to those people. They have to not get action. They have to be chastised if they're ruining the game. And what happens very, very often is they learn and they change. I know that this one player in Vegas, I said straddle because I was building the game, and someone said this guy will never straddle, and the guy straddled. Like he probably said, well, and now he thinks differently. Now I play with him, and he's the one straddling and talking, and like now this guy is a good player, winning money, good for the game, and it was easy with him. I just had, but sometimes you have to like tell people like you just have to be a vigilante. So the 4 people need to tell the 3 people change, or we're not playing with you. We're not giving you action.
Tell the floor guy to go.
What? Like
mess with them?
No, the players. No, the players have to manage that. You have to chastise people who want to take and not give. And
I'm thinking about your poker room, man. You own it. You're watching it happen, and they're not speaking up. You're gonna exert some authority on them?
Oh no! I mean, if you're gonna be passive in this life, that's on you. The blueprint is there. I think I've provided a blueprint for live poker for over 8 years now, and it's you have to be good for the game. You take the person with the disposable income, you give them something worth their while, right? A fun time, R-rated conversation. You just like the escape they want, right? And they're happy to lose to you. They are, in general. They are. And the ones that want the money but don't want to give it. So if you're giving the money, that's usually enough, right? You can be an asshole. But if you're taking money, you cannot be an asshole. You have to be the opposite. You have to be funny. And if you're not, and people say, well, I'm an introvert. Okay, well then do other things, like offer to flip anytime someone wants, right? Neutral EV stuff. You got to give in certain ways. And
I'm introverted, and I've never had problems engaging with people at a poker table.
Yeah, but I assume there are people that are much more introverted than you are. That it's real. Some people have social awkwardness, or I used to have it when I was younger, and I get it. So you don't have to be the one cracking jokes. I'll do that, right? But you also, when the guy that's losing every hand, it's clear he has a good hand, and everyone folds, and you have 70s offsuit in the big blind, or hopefully the straddle, you better ask them, you want action? I have a horrible hand, right? And if he says yes, you call, and then you can fold on the flop or whatever and show. That's giving something, right? It's costing you in a vacuum in the moment, but overall, it's going to earn you lots and lots of money that you may or may not light on fire.
It's good. It's a good long-term play.
Everybody's happy. It feels good, right? It feels good inside. It feels good when you know you gave someone value for their $5K.
When's the last time you went off on a nit? What'd they do that genuinely made you angry?
You can hear it in almost any episode. There's so many things. It's, the whales going off, and I don't say whale as a derogatory term. I say whale as like, that's what I want to be, right? I want to be the guy that this is funny money to me. I know you guys are trying to, some of you are trying to at least supplement your income. That's cool. Make it fun, or fuck you. But that guy's going off, and he obviously is bluffing, and the pro won't turn over his dumb hand, because there's a chance he wants to know what the guy had. It's just, there are so many examples of people not conceding tiny little edges. You have to concede little edges. I don't know one great live player that doesn't concede many tiny edges. People consider Garrett probably the best live player right now. Concedes little edges all the time. He's talking all the time, doing whatever, doing props. Does that help him play a hand against someone? No, it does the opposite. But does it help him get action for the next time? It does. Does he make a lot of money? He does.
For sure. You have to give something back.
Little bits and pieces, wherever you can. If you're funny, be funny.
The little bits of edge that you give back are not going to make a significant difference in your yearly win rate. As a matter of fact, if you don't give any of them back, you're not going to be in the games a lot, and you're not going to have friends. You're not going to be very popular, and it's going to cost you a lot more money.
It's going to cost you money, and you're going to feel like garbage inside. But the good news is, I was clueless when I was younger. And
has anybody ever just done something like so out of line that you just like went ballistic on them at the table?
No. Do you know who Muhaha is?
No, I don't.
Okay, he's kind of a Vegas character. He's the only person that I ever tried to come across the table at. He just was saying out of line stuff, personal stuff. But no, other than that, I just challenge people to heads up. That's the great equalizer, right? Like, if you're a smug new pro and you're on a heater you can't even fathom, you will in a couple of years probably realize, oh shit, this isn't how it is. I don't flop a set every time in this 5-way fucking bloater. So that's always my go-to is well, like if you do think you're good, like I don't even care about being good, but let's play. Like let's see, right? Let's see when folding isn't a huge strategy. You know what I mean? Like, let's see when playing becomes the strategy. How are you going to do? Is it all memory? Did you study, or are you good at this fucking game? So Yeah.
I remember you and Garrett battling heads up. I was like in my room. I'd probably taken a sleep aid and was like walking to the little convenience store in Commerce and like stopped by the high limit section. I saw you and Garrett playing heads up. And I just remember you played a massive pot and like Garrett turned over like king 7 off. And I remember you just looking at that hand and you were like, that's a good hand. That's a hand worthy of $1,700 pre or something. Yeah, he did beat you. It was just some snarky, silly comment that you made that made me laugh in the moment.
I don't even remember playing him heads up because we became friends pretty quickly, and we did play a lot of 3-handed and stuff, and a lot of times like holy shit. I remember. Yeah, I called one time and just this enormous pot for me, not for him, but for me. I've never had a bankroll, but for me it was big, like maybe 20K pot or whatever. And he wasn't even bluffing. He was just like going, and I was like kind of hero calling it, but it was just like what? It was just insane. It was just, but yeah, you gotta have fun, right? You gotta make comments when someone busts your entire roll with King 7 offsuit because they have a roll and they're disciplined and all that. You gotta just. Wow, that's a good hand.
Yeah, I mean, just be cool, man. I think that's always my creed as a poker player. Just be cool to the people you're around, and you are experiencing something, right? You are having an experience while you're at the table, and that experience can be good or bad, and it is worth something. It's not worth money, but at the end of the day, you spend 10,000 hours playing live poker. I really hope you had fun doing it and you enjoyed it because that's a significant part of your life.
Yeah, I had fun at the beginning and then didn't. I like heads up and I like really short-handed, even against really good players. I actually like the battling. I like being able to, I don't like just always trying to figure out if they can fold. Like that gets old. It's profitable, but it gets old. And now my new way of enjoying poker is just taking notes on all the characters and then trying to tell the story in my podcast. It's made me. I couldn't even tolerate poker for a while, and now I can tolerate it again because I look at it as, oh, this will at least be like good for the story, and will take some people's minds away. Hopefully, when I put it down.
Yeah, it's just a different lens in the way that you approach and look at the game from your earlier self.
Yeah, I am not currently chasing poker greatness, but I do.
Greatness is relative, sir. It's an abstract term and can mean many different things to many different people.
I'm chasing podcast greatness. That's what I want. That's where my passion is, and like community builder greatness. Those are, and fatherhood greatness. But I don't have the fire. I'm not chasing poker greatness. I'll still play anyone heads up if they're acting like a dickhead. But and I'll dig deep and find that fire. But I guess I'm just like trying to get flush one more time and then get out. That's just the truth.
I want to be the facilitator to poker greatness, to the people that want to be the best version of themselves that they can be. I want to help them and put them, hopefully give them the opportunity to get put in a place where they can succeed. So,
I'm not saying I don't believe in it. I believe in it the right way. It's exciting, right? I believe if you're a doctor and you have 70K and you get invited to a game that's 10K buy-in, go, right? Because you gotta live your life, right? And it's.
Do you love
dangerous.
the game? Do you love like the actual game of poker anymore? Just the mechanics of it?
No. I see. My thing is, I did like it. I loved it. I loved playing it. I think with the pre-flop aggression that just came, whatever it came, it's made it so high variance. If I was ever trying to test my strategic abilities, I would get into chess. And actually, that's another thing I look forward to doing. If and when I do come up again, is I will want to battle in chess, see how good I can be. Right? That's where you battle. Right? That's where you don't need soft skills. And the best player wins. But no, poker for so long has just been a way for me to, give my kids a great life and just, meet a bunch of amazing people and some great people and some like evil people and everything in between, and they're all interesting, man. There's a lot of, for as much bad as I've said about the poker world, there are a lot of kindred spirits. It draws people that are kind of misfits in the real world, like myself. Fuck, I don't belong in the real world. So that's why I found the poker world, and hopefully the content game will do what poker used to do for me.
Cool, man. Yeah, I do love poker still, and I do enjoy the competitive aspect of it. That's what fires me up about all the bullshit that's going on in the online poker world, is because it's changing the way, the picturesque view that I have, my ideal view of poker. It's changing that, and it's making it something that is not really even poker anymore. And that to me is, it's horrible. It's criminal, but hopefully maybe one day we can get it changed in the future. Who knows? But whatever.
Hey, at least we gave people some stuff to think about.
Sure.
We didn't solve. I don't think we solved anything, but we gave them stuff to think about.
Yeah, we're not going to solve anything. That's what we have to accept. We have to solve the things that we have direct control over, and that to me is sending people to training sites or the place where I think they'll get the most value and will help them the most, and protecting them from the shady operators that are the nits of the business poker world.
I have had many opportunities to promote and have declined all of them as well.
I accepted one early on, PKC, because I knew the people and I trusted them. And yeah, that didn't work out so well.
It didn't?
No, that did not work out so well at the end of the day. At the end of the day, they basically decided that the US wasn't viable and pulled services, paid everybody back. Nobody lost any money, but I dedicated tens of thousands of dollars into hiring a team and marketing and everything. And they basically kicked me in the ass on the way out and said, yeah, it didn't work out. Fuck off.
Yeah, that's very common in this world.
Whereas for 6 months, if I would have just been in the games, firing up 6 tables a day, taking as much as I possibly could, I would have made a hell of a lot more money.
But you wouldn't feel good. I mean, you wouldn't feel you were trying. It wasn't you, man. Like, you wanted to do this, like, get people on this good app or whatever it was. And
I took money. I did crush it for 6 months straight. I did take money, and I saw it as a decent opportunity for people that I felt good about sending them there. But like, the reality was, I wanted to do a good thing that was in alignment with me and also was monetarily rewarding and hopefully good for the poker community and good for the business. And what ended up happening was I learned the lesson that at the end of the day, if I would have just been predatory and wanted to take as much as I possibly could, that would have been by far the more profitable route.
Well, that's what I meant to say, is you're not predatory.
Sometimes I wish I were.
You're not. And I have a good idea. I have a good idea for this. So I'm not going to release this on mine. But what I'll do is, are you going to release this in 2 parts?
Probably not. I'll probably just release it in 1.
Man, people can't handle more than an hour. I suggest 2. But
man, what is this? This is like the podcast coaching hour.
It is. They can't. I mean, doesn't your brain just start to like melt after an hour listening to someone?
They just pause it and then they start it up again. I'm not like you. This is coming from the man that puts out 7 hours of content a week. I'm releasing 1 episode that's 2 hours. They just pause it and come back to it.
All right. So you're doing okay. But what I'll do is we're going to get aligned. The day that you're going to release this, I'll just release a 10-second thing telling my listeners, here's the pod for the day. Go to Chasing Poker Greatness. And I think that'll be kind of cool. So they'll get their normal drop in sessions, and then they'll have to go to Chasing Poker Greatness, and then that's good, man. Maybe you'll get I need the competition, man. I need you to get on those downloads. Come on.
How many downloads we at? Where's sessions at nowadays?
I think 250,000 downloads
a year. So
no, I mean no more. the first year was 100,000. Oh, sorry, not quarter million. The first year was 100,000. The second year, 250,000. Yeah, so it's going, or maybe 350.
What's the daily downloads, man? Come on, not the overall. How many are you getting every day?
Every day depends. It depends. When I release my individual stuff, where I talk about how fucking like horrible I am at the real world, but good at a few things, people like that. So that even during Corona, that gets over 1,000, I think. And every guest gets about 600, I think, and some get more.
I'm coming after you. I'm moving more towards the daily show, and on release days, I'll get about 600 downloads and listens combined, and then it'll slowly go down to about 300 a day until the next release. And I've been doing one a week, but I'm gonna get on the daily release train and give this podcasting thing a full-time shot.
Good, man. That's chasing some greatness right there.
Man, it's been fun.
Yeah. You feel any better? Did you get any of that venting out?
No, not really. I mean, it's in me. It's going to be in me for a while. This feeling that something's got to change, and the people who can exert the pressure and make people change are the players. And we need to band together in some way, shape, or form to put an end to the bullshit, the shenanigans, and make poker great again.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been on that for a while.
DGAF, it's been fun. Let's do this. Fuck it. Let's do this very often. Once a month, maybe. Catch up, see how each other are going, give each other a piece of content, make life easier.
Yeah, we'll take turns.
For sure.
So yeah, at 3 a.m., my listeners are going to get a little note that they can find the spew for the day over at Chasing Poker Greatness. Okay? So if you could release at that time, that would be fantastic, but it's up to you.
Take care, man.
All right, peace.